lump sum of money. So things are going well, and I had an investor, and I'm an expert in Excel spreadsheets. So I did an Excel spreadsheet, and I showed this person how much they were going to get as a return. Long story short, they said, well, Rodney, you said it was going to be 55%, it's only 49%, and they got really pissed. So we went back and forth, and then they said to me, you know what, I'm going to report you. Report me for what? And I really got scared. I talked to my attorney and said, dude, do you realize you cannot go across state lines to solicit money from people? That's against the law. Do you know that you cannot go to a state, solicit money without being registered with that state? They can put you in jail. Oh, shit. Put me in jail? Okay. So that's when I found out about a PPM. But I found out they were $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 to create. Now, what is a PPM? A PPM is a private placement memorandum. And I do apologize, I printed out some notes from 2 years ago, so don't mind me if I wander over the place. But in stopping, if you have a question, just stop me, because I'll be all over the place. Jason, how much time do I have?
As much time as you need, sir.
No, I can't talk that long. 30 minutes, how about that?
All right.
Okay. A private placement memorandum is a instrumentality that's used to help give a potential investor the details of your offering. That's kind of in short what it is. It's important because what you say as material fact, whether it's intentional or unintentional, can come back to bite you in the butt. Because if I tell you, hey man, listen, I'm going to give you 27% interest, APR, and blah, blah, blah. And then you come back and say, no, 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 you said 29%. The problem is that it's hearsay. And so now I got to end up in court because you say one thing and I say another. The private placement memorandum is designated for small businesses who want to go out and get money from the public. So all of you who want to buy houses, for example, it's a matter of fact, it's not even houses, it's anything. You could want to start a business, you could want to grow your plumbing business, or you have an idea to do something. It's for anyone, but it gives the details of what's going to happen in that offering. The private placement memorandum, I think it started back in 1933 as a result of the stock market crash. And prior to that, there were no federal laws. Actually, it was the first federal legislation that governed the interstate commerce of securities. Prior to that, only the states had individual laws. But the private placement memorandum under the Securities Act of 1933 was the first document that says, here's how you're supposed to act. And so what I did is I got one created, and I went out and I wanted to borrow $5 million. Is $5 million a lot of money?
Relative.
Let me tell you how funny this is. So just like I'm talking to you, I got a group of all white men, multimillionaires. They let me in and says, right, we'll let you do a presentation. We think you have a good idea. You want to get involved in real estate, blah, blah, blah. I said, okay, fine. I get in front of the room, do the presentation. And so I'm going to the elevator, and I asked the guy, I said, hey, man, how did I do? He said, well, you did really well. He said, there's only one problem. Huh?
Didn't ask for enough?
You're exactly right.
Repeat that, I didn't hear.
The guy looked at me in my face.
Didn't
He looked at me in my face and said, Rodney, the problem is you had 5 investors in the room and you asked them for $5 million. One of them could have gave you $100 million. So when you talked to them and you said $5 million and you said you were going to give them back 15%, it's not even worth doing the deal. And I tell you, that moment changed my life. That moment changed my life. I thought, just like you just said, $5 million? That's a ton of money. No, it's not. What you have to understand, and which I'm sure you do, there are people around this country, around this world, who don't have any idea that there's a recession. They have no concept of what gas costs. I had a guy tell me in my building, he says, the only thing, he said, I hope it doesn't end, the recession. Dude, how could you say that? He said, because I get everything cheaper. So during a recession, prices deflated. He goes out and he buys, whether stocks, whatever he buys. And he gets it at a better bargain. So anyway, I went back, and it took me months to do the private placement because I wanted to own hundreds and hundreds of houses. Right now, I think, I'm not sure, but I think we have a little under 400 right now. I'm not sure how many it is exactly. But the private placement memorandum helped us put that together. Now we're putting together another one now for $30 million. I'm sure it'll be done maybe, March, April, May, sometime like that. But, we want to buy up at the auctions here in Michigan. I just want to go to the auction and just like give them a check. Say, I'll take all 7,000 and just buy the entire neighborhood and then just hire contractors to fix it. Seriously. Now, one of the things that you have to understand about me, you don't understand about me, but Jason surely understands, I don't have any void words that come out of my mouth. I just don't. If I say I'm going to do it, it's going to get done. When people, Jason mentioned I own Real Estate Weekly newspaper. Everyone told me not to go into the newspaper business right after my talk show. I had a talk show here, Cleveland, some other places, real estate talk show. And so I had the idea of starting a newspaper because anybody guess why I would start a newspaper? Actually, the stupidest thing in the world. Because all you hear about newspapers is what? People don't read them no more, right? Advertisements down, people don't read them, they're going out of business. Internet, that's all you hear. So I'm the kind of guy that says, wow, that's a good idea. If everyone's going that way, if everyone's running away from it, I'm going to run to it. That's what Warren Buffett says. Why do you think newspapers is good business?
He who controls the press controls everything.
Well, there's in Detroit here, there's a little paper called C&G. Everybody ever seen C&G? How about the Monitor?
Yeah, I've seen the Monitor.
It's a little nothing newspaper. I mean, it's so nothing that you don't even know there's something in it.
Paper thin.
It's paper thin. The thing is like 16, 20 pages. It's paper thin. And the only thing that's in there is fired, the police captain got promoted, somebody's having a meeting at the YMCA. That's all that's in the paper. But you know what else is in there? Ads. One answer in there. And the paper's free. So what happens? Every place you go, people pick it up. So even though the Detroit News, Free Press, the Cleveland, Miami Herald are shrinking, community newspapers have been growing 5% year over year. Why? Because they're free. And in most newspapers, the news is sensational. Shooting, crash on I-75, all that stuff. In community newspapers, the information is different. So long story short, I had an idea to start a content-driven real estate newspaper that tells about everything that's going on in the community. So the paper in Cleveland is different from the paper in Detroit. The paper in Detroit is different from one in Georgia, and on and on. We're in 22 markets now in 5 states. And those things probably average $14,000, $15,000 bi-weekly. Not bad revenue. I want 100 of them, but I'm working on that. So the private placement memorandum, you can do anything with it. So I encourage you guys, if you want to start businesses, if you want to grow your business, it's very difficult to do that one job at a time. Because the difficulty is that you can only be in one place at a time. The question is, how do you get 10 of you, Curry, how do you get 10 of you doing what you do? That's the question. It's a problem. Not a problem, but it's an opportunity. So the private placement memorandum lays out for people everything you want to know about your investment vehicle, okay? And let me just tell you some of the things that were in ours.
Question, is a private placement memorandum the same as an investor's agreement? And then why is there different? Why are there two different things?
Inside the private placement memorandum is something called a subscription agreement. The subscription agreement inside the memorandum is something that you sign that tells exactly what it is you're going to do. You're going to get 10,000 shares at $4, and this is going to be your return. This is when we pay you back, blah, blah, blah. I've acknowledged, blah, blah, blah. That's your subscription agreement. Okay, did that answer the question?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay. In our first one, you know, there was the overview, which basically gives an overview of what we're doing. There was executive summary. Number 3 was the offering, which has the value of the shares, the aggregate offering, the minimum subscription, how we're going to use the money. This is really weird, not really weird, but it's also, there's a business plan inside the memorandum. I am not a detailed person, so this was very, very difficult for me. Because if you've ever done a business plan, I just think they're very difficult. I can't, I don't have the patience to do them, but they're absolutely necessary. It lays out who the management is. So when we do our, like when I did my first private placement memorandum, since this is on tape, I can say that. I won't say I